Yeah, because what I see right now is everything is, men against women,
Right.
right? Like I got a book that's coming out on December 5th, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And I'm going to do the audiobook. Every time I'm doing the audiobook, I'm reading the book for like 100 times because I've written the book, but we're doing the audiobook today as well. And as I'm reading this thing, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, and you're seeing what's going on, okay, men versus women. Okay, the enemy of every woman should be men because men are taking something away from you, right? It's Christians versus Muslims, Republicans versus Democrats. Republicans are the enemy, right? It's blacks versus white, churchgoers versus non-churchgoers. It's, straight versus, LGBTQ, and we have to teach LGBTQ, yet take God out of school because that's more important. We shouldn't be imposing God on kids, but we should be imposing, sexuality amongst kids. Employer versus employee, being abused and used and abused by unions, right? You constantly see this division, parents against kids, dividing kids against parents. You can do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to get your dad's permission. You don't have to get your mom's permission. Of course you do. You have to get that permission. This desire to want to constantly create a division, there has to be a clear outcome to it. One can look at it and say, okay, if it's just pure evil, it's the art of war. You're trying to divide and conquer. Great. But who is dividing and what do they want to conquer? Who are these people that want to conquer? You mentioned George Soros earlier on what he's doing with funding of all these protests and, how he's figuring out ways how to pin people against each other. I want to know from your perspective. I know you said, I don't know who it is, but I kind of want to go a little bit deeper with this. Again, for someone that was born in 1937, this division that's going on, why would they want to do this, and who do you think would be behind wanting to divide America the way that they're trying to do?
I'm not so sure that you have to have an answer to that in order to change it.
You're not so sure you have to have the answer. If you don't know the enemy, but you have to know the enemy's motives and desires, don't you?
Not necessarily. I think if you mobilize enough people to confront that enemy,
but you don't know who the enemy is.
But you know what the enemy does. You see examples of it when you see people attacking the police. In our community, we know that there are people who are saying that we should attack the police. There was an old brother when the Klan, like 20 members of the Klan came to Washington, D.C. in a rickety old school bus, and 5,000 people tried to kill him. Reporter went into the low-income area of Ward 8 in Washington, and a 75-year-old black man, they said, are you going to join the protest? He said, bring the Klan down here if they can get rid of these drug dealers. And that man was stating a reality, and that is that the drugs and the violence in his community is much more of a threat to his well-being than some talk of the Klan. When you begin to mobilize people to pursue the protection of their interest, you don't have to know why someone else is against you. All you have to do is mobilize the people who are with you and for you, and they will stand against anyone trying to knock the door down to get in.
Yeah,
you can spend your time in finding out. And so what do you do when you find out who is?
Well, but that's how it works though in war. When you're dealing with war and you're dealing with a gang, you can keep fighting against its gang members. But then if you go and show strength that you can take out the gang leader at the top, then everybody else scatters all over the place.
But also in the Second World War, for instance, I always say that we understood right now people who are taking that position, they don't have a ground game. They don't have a ground. In other words, if a lot of conservatives, if you were fighting the Second World, we would only have a Navy and an Air Force.
Okay.
And we would bomb the hell out of Normandy and wait for Hitler to show up on it. No, we understood that we've got to go in and support partisans who are in that and help them to defeat inside. We also know we need a Marines, we need soldiers. It's hand-to-hand combat. And our low-income leaders in these communities, we have created islands of excellence where we have stopped the violence. We don't have to know why the violence is persisting. All I know is that the young men that we turned around, we went from 53 murders in a 5 square block area to 0 for 12 years.
Benning Terrace, you're saying? Huh? You're talking about Benning Terrace.
Benning Terrace. So now, do I have to know why the violence? No. All I know is what conditions do you need to produce in order to change and improve it. That's what we need to do. And so we've taken what worked in Benning Terrace and extended it to Milwaukee, to Dallas. You can export your remedies without knowing precisely in each city why the problem exists. All you've got to do is concentrate on what is curing the disease. How do we cure snake bite? We take the venom of the snake to create the antivenom. And that's the approach that we take in these communities. We know how to go and create peace. One of our groups last summer, in one of the most violent neighborhoods, for 100 days didn't have a single act of violence. We need to find out how they did that, and how can we take that and spread it to a whole neighborhood and to a whole city. So you can push the antivenom, you can push the cure without knowing precisely why.